Hi guys, it's Miss Lisa, and I am out on the porch for a pre-storm porch time story time, so you probably hear some thunder, and you definitely hear my wind chimes. And today I am so excited to read you this book. I got it to read for porch time story time, but I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger, like the books that I typically read, but this book is a little bit smaller, so I might spend some time holding it like this and then showing you the pictures. And it is called The Enormous Crocodile, and it is by one of my most favorite authors, whose name is Roald Dahl. I love his stuff. And I'm going to read you the preface it says on the front here. It doesn't say preface. It says, "Look out, kids. The enormous crocodile is incredibly hungry and incredibly greedy, and his favorite meal is a plump, juicy little child, and he intends to gobble up as many of them as he can. He is sure that his secret plans and clever tricks cannot be foiled. But when the other animals in the jungle join together to put an end to his wicked schemes, the enormous crocodile learns a lesson that he won't soon forget." And do you want to know why I wanted to read you this book today? Because I live in Florida, and I went on my walk today through the neighborhood. And we have lots of ponds in our neighborhood, and I saw 2 alligators today, and I think I saw one of them eat a fish. He was just resting. You just saw the little top of his head because they look like a piece of wood floating. And then I saw fish bubbles over there, and then I saw him go down under the water, and I saw the water move, and I think he got himself some lunch. The Enormous Crocodile. In the biggest, brownest, muddiest river in Africa, 2 crocodiles lay with their head just above the water. That is just exactly like what the alligator that I saw. I saw alligator. Did I say crocodile? I meant to say alligator. In Florida, we got the alligators, but it looked still just like that. One of the crocodiles was enormous. The other one was not so big. "Do you know what I would like for my lunch today?" the enormous crocodile asked. "No," said the not-so-big one. "What?" The enormous crocodile grinned, showing his hundreds of white teeth. "For my lunch today," he said, "I would like a nice, juicy child." "I never eat children," said the not-so-big one. "Only fish." "Ho, ho, ho," said the enormous crocodile. "I'll bet if you saw a fat little child paddling in the water over there, you would gulp him up in one gallop." "No, I wouldn't," said the not-so-big one. "Children are too tough. They're too chewy. They're tough and chewy and nasty and bitter." "Tough and chewy," cried the enormous crocodile. "Nasty and bitter? What awful tummy rot you talk. They are juicy and they are yummy." "They taste so bitter," said the not-so-big one. "You have to cover 'em with sugar before you can eat 'em." Look, they're talking to each other. There's the enormous crocodile, and there's the not-so-big one. "Children are bigger than fish," said the enormous crocodile, "so you get bigger helpings." "You are greedy," said the not-so-big one, "and you're the greediest crocodile in the whole river." "I am the bravest crocodile in the whole river," said the enormous crocodile. "I am the only one who dares to leave the water and go through the jungle to the town to look for little children to eat." "You've only done that once," said the not-so-big one. "And what happened then? They all saw you coming, and they all ran away." "Ah, but today when I go, they won't see me at all," said the enormous crocodile. "Of course they're going to see you," said the not-so-big one. "You're enormous, and you're ugly, and they're going to see you from far, far away." The enormous crocodile grinned again, and his terrible sharp teeth sparkled like knives in the sun. "Nobody will see me," he said, "because this time I have thought up a secret plan and some clever tricks." "Clever tricks?" said the not-so-big one. "You've never done anything clever in your whole life. You're the stupidest crocodile in the whole river." "I'm the cleverest crocodile in the whole river," the enormous crocodile said. "For my lunch today I shall feast upon fat, juicy little children while you lie here in the river feeling hungry." The enormous crocodile swam to the other side of the river and crawled out of the water. A gigantic creature was standing in the slimy, oozy mud on the riverbank, and it was Humpty Rumpty the hippopotamus. "Hello, hello," said Humpty Rumpy. "Where on earth are you off to today?" "I have secret plans and clever tricks," said the crocodile. "Oh dear," said Humpty Rumpy. "I'll bet you're going to do something horrible." The enormous crocodile grinned at Humpty Rumpy and said, "I'm going to fill my hungry, empty tummy with something yummy, yummy, yummy." "What's so yummy?" said Humpty Rumpy. "Try to guess," said the crocodile. "It is something that walks on two legs." "You don't mean," said Humpty Rumpy, "you don't really mean you're gonna go eat a child?" "Of course I am," said the enormous crocodile. "Oh, you are horribly greedy and grumptuous, and you're a brute," cried Humpty Rumpy. "I hope you get caught and cooked and turned into crocodile soup." The enormous crocodile laughed out loud at Humpty Rumpy, and he waddled off into the jungle. Humpty Rumpy. Inside the jungle, he met Trunky the elephant. Trunky was nibbling leaves from the top of a tall tree, and he didn't notice the crocodile at first, so the crocodile bit him in the leg. "Ow!" said Trunky in his big, deep voice. "Who did that?" "Oh, it's just you, you beastly crocodile. Why don't you go back to that big, brown, muddy river where you belong?" "Because I have secret plans and clever tricks," said the crocodile. "You mean you've got nasty plans and nasty tricks," said Trunky. "You've never done a nice thing in your life." The enormous crocodile grinned at Trunky and said, "I'm off to find a yummy child for lunch. Keep listening and you'll hear the bones go crunch." "Oh, you are a wicked beast," said Trunky. "Oh, you are foul and filthy fiend. I hope you get squashed and squished and squizzed and boiled up into crocodile stew." The enormous crocodile laughed out loud and disappeared into the thick, thick jungle. Like he bit him in the leg. Nasty crocodile. A bit farther on, he met Mugglewump the monkey. Mugglewump was sitting in a tree eating some nuts. Mugglewump. "Hello, Crocky," said Mugglewump. "What are you up to?" "I have secret plans and clever tricks," said the crocodile. "You want some nuts?" said Mugglewump. "I have better things to eat than nuts," said the crocodile. "I didn't think there was anything better than nuts," said Mugglewump. "Aha," said the enormous crocodile. "The sort of thing I'm going to eat have finger, toenails, arms, legs, and feet." Mugglewump went pale and began to shake all over. "You aren't really going to gobble up a child, are you?" he said. "Of course I am," said the crocodile. "Clothes and all. They taste better with their clothes on." "You are a horrid, hoggish crocodile," cried Mugglewump. "You're a slimy, creepy creature, and I hope the buttons and buckles all stick you in the throat and you choke to death." He really does not want the crocodile to eat a child. The crocodile grinned up at Mugglewump and said, "I eat monkeys too." And as quick as a flash, with one bite of his huge jaws, he bit through the tree that Mugglewump was sitting on, and down it came, but just in time, Mugglewump jumped into the tree and swung away through the branches. A bit farther on, the enormous crocodile met the Roly-Poly Bird. The Roly-Poly Bird was building a nest in the orange tree. Do you see the Roly-Poly bird building a nest? There's a monkey getting away. He lost his nuts, though. "Hello there, enormous crocodile," sang the Roly-Poly Bird. "We don't often see you up here in the jungle." "Ah," said the crocodile, "I have secret plans and clever tricks." "Oh, I hope it's not something nasty," sang the Roly-Poly Bird. "Nasty," cried the crocodile. "Of course it's not nasty. It's delicious. It's luscious, it's super, it's mushiest, it's duper. It's better than rotten old fish. You mash it and munch it, you chew it and crunch it. It's lovely to hear it go squish." "It must be berries," said the Roly-Poly Bird. "Berries are my favorite food in the world. Is it raspberries, perhaps? Or maybe strawberries?" The enormous crocodile laughed so much his teeth rattled together like pennies in a piggy bank. "Crocodiles don't eat berries. We eat little boys and girls. And sometimes we eat roly-poly birds." Very quickly, the crocodile reached up and snapped its jaws at the Roly-Poly Bird. He just missed the Roly-Poly Bird, but he managed to catch a hold of one of the long, beautiful feathers in its tail, and the Roly-Poly Bird gave a shriek of terror and shot straight up into the air, leaving its tail feathers in the mouth of the enormous crocodile. At last, the enormous crocodile came out of the other side of the jungle and into the sunshine. He could see the town. It was not very far away. Now he's starting to walk. Look, he's still got a couple feathers in his mouth. Ho, ho, he said, talking to himself while he was walking. Ha, ha! That walk through the jungle has made me hungrier than ever. One child isn't going to be nearly enough for me today. I will not be full up until I've eaten at least three juicy little children. He started to creep towards the town. The enormous crocodile crept over to a place where he knew there were a lot of coconut trees. He knew that children from town often came here looking for coconuts. The trees were too tall for them to climb, but there were always some coconuts on the ground that had fallen down. The enormous crocodile quickly collected all of the coconuts that were lying on the ground, and he also gathered together several fallen branches. Do you know what he's going to do? Now, for clever trick number 1. He whispered to himself, it won't be long before I'm eating the first part of my lunch. Look, he gathered up some fallen branches and the coconuts. Sounds like he's trying to do a clever trick, try and get a child. He took all of the coconut branches and he held them in his teeth, so the branches were sticking out. And he grasped all the coconuts in his front paws. Then he stood straight up in the air, balancing himself on his tail. He had arranged the branches and the coconuts, so he cleverly tried to disguise himself as a coconut tree. He looked exactly like a coconut tree, standing among the big coconut trees. Soon, 2 children came by. They were brother and sister, and the boy was called Toto, and his sister was called Mary. And they walked around looking for fallen coconuts, but they couldn't find any because the enormous crocodile had gathered them all up. Oh, look, cried Toto, that tree over there is much shorter than the other ones, and it's full of coconuts. I think I could climb up that one quite easily if you help me up the first part. So Toto and Mary ran towards what they thought was a small coconut tree. But look, but it's not. The enormous crocodile peered through the branches, watching them as they came closer and closer and closer. He licked his lips, and he was dribbling with excitement. Suddenly there was a tremendous whooshing noise. It was Humpy Rumpy the hippopotamus, and he came crashing and snorting out of the jungle. His head was down low, and he was galloping at a terrific speed. Look out, Toto! Shouted Humpy Rumpy. Look out, Mary! That's not a coconut tree. It's the enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you up. Humpy Rumpy charged straight at the enormous crocodile, and he caught him with his giant head and sent him tumbling and skidding over the ground. Owie! Cried the crocodile. Help! Stop! Where am I? Toto and Mary ran back to town as fast as they could. Let me show you that one more time. Look, Humpy Rumpy got him. And he's teetering over backwards. He dropped all the coconuts. And Toto and Mary are going to run back into town. But crocodiles are tough, and it is difficult for even a hippopotamus to hurt them. The enormous crocodile picked himself up and crept towards the place where the children's playground was. Uh-oh. Now for clever trick number 2, he said to himself, and this time it's certain to work. There were no children on the playground at that moment. They were all in school. But the enormous crocodile found a big log, and he put it in the middle of the playground. And then he laid across the log, and he tucked in his feet so he looked like a seesaw. Do you know how it works a seesaw? One kid gets on this side, one kid's on this side, and you balance and you rock back and forth and back and forth. So he's trying to trick him into pretending that he's a seesaw. When the school was over, the children all came running onto the playground. Look, we got a new seesaw! and they all crowded around, shouting with excitement. I'll go first. No, I'll go first. I'll get the other end. I want to go first. So do I. So do I. Then a girl, who was older than the others, said, "It's rather a funny, knobbly sort of seesaw, isn't it? Do you think it's safe to sit on?" "Of course it will," said the others. "It looks strong as anything." The enormous crocodile opened one eye just a tiny bit and watched the children who were crowding around him. "Soon," he thought, "one of them is going to sit on my head, and I'll give a jerk and a snap, and after that it will be all yum, yum, yum." And at that moment, though, there was a flash of brown, and something jumped onto the playground and hopped up on top of the swings. Do you know who it was? It was Mugglewump the monkey. "Run!" Mugglewump said. "That's not a seesaw. Run, run, run! That's the enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you up." There they go. Run! The children screamed and ran for their lives. Ah! Mugglewump disappeared back into the jungle, and the enormous crocodile was left all alone on the playground. There he is. He cursed the monkey and waddled back into the bushes to go hide. "I'm getting hungrier and hungrier," he said. "I shall have to eat at least 4 children now before I am full up." The enormous crocodile crept around the edges of the town, taking great care to make sure nobody saw him. He came to a place where they were getting ready to have a fair. There were slides and swings and dodgem cars and people selling popcorn and cotton candy and a big merry-go-round. The merry-go-round had a marvelous wooden creature on it for the children to sit on. There were white horses and lions and tigers and mermaids with fish tails and fearsome dragons with red tongues sticking out of their mouths. "Now for clever trick number 3, said the enormous crocodile, licking his lips. What do you think he's going to do? Do you have a guess? Do you hear the rain coming in behind me? I bet you have a guess of what he's going to pretend to be on the merry-go-round. When no one was looking, he crept up onto the merry-go-round and put himself between a wooden lion and a fearsome dragon. He sat up a bit on his back legs, and he kept very still. He looked exactly like a wooden crocodile on the merry-go-round. Soon all sorts of children came flocking to the fair, and several of them ran towards the merry-go-round. They were so excited. "I'm going to ride the dragon," said one. "I'm going to ride a lovely white horse," said the other. "I'm going on the lion," said a third. And one little girl, whose name was Jill, said, "I'm going to ride on that funny-looking wooden crocodile." The enormous crocodile kept very still, but he could see the little girl coming towards him. Yummy, yummy, yum, yum, yum. He thought, "I'm going to gulp her up really easily in one big gulp." Suddenly there was a swish and a swoosh, and something came swishing and swooshing right out of the sky. And do you know who it was? It was the Roly-Poly Bird. He flew around and around the merry-go-round, saying, "Look out, Jill! Look out, Jill! Don't ride on that crocodile." Jill stopped and looked up. "That's not a wooden crocodile," said the Roly-Poly Bird. "It's a real one. It's the enormous crocodile from the river, and he wants to eat you up. Run away!" So Jill turned and she ran, and so did all of the other children. Even the man who was working the merry-go-round. He jumped off and ran away as far as he could. The enormous crocodile cursed that Roly-Poly Bird, and he waddled back into the bushes to hide. "I am so hungry now," he said. "I could eat 6 children before I was all pulled up." And just outside of town, there was a pretty little field with trees and bushes all around it, and this was called the picnic place. There were several wooden tables and long benches, and people were allowed to go there and have a picnic anytime they wanted. The enormous crocodile crept over to the picnic place, and there was no one in sight. Do you think he has another clever trick? Now, for clever trick number 4. He picked a lovely bunch of flowers and he arranged it on the table. From the same table, he took away one of the benches and he hid it in the bushes. Then he put himself in the place where the bench had been, and he tucked his tail under his chest, and he twisted his tail out of sight, and he made himself look like a long bench with 4 legs. Look, I'll show you. See, there's the real benches, and he's pretending that he is a bench. Soon, you hear the rain? Soon, two boys and 2 girls came along carrying baskets of food. They were all from one family, and their mama had said that they could go out and have a picnic together. "Which table should we sit at?" said one. "Let's take the one with the lovely flowers on it," said another. The enormous crocodile kept his mouth very closed. He was quiet as a mouse, and he thought to himself, "I'm going to eat them all. They will all come sit on my back, and I will swizzle my head around, and quickly after I will gobble, 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 crunch, crunch, gobble, 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 gobble." And suddenly a big, deep voice from the jungle said, "Stand back, children, stand back." And the children stopped, and they stared at the place where the voice was coming from. And then, with the crashing of the branches, Trunky the elephant came rushing through the jungle. "That's not a bench you're going to sit on. That's the enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you all up." Trunky trotted over to the spot where the enormous crocodile was standing. Oh boy. And quick as a flash, he wrapped the trunk around the crocodile's tail, and he hoisted him up in the air. "Hey, let me go," said the enormous crocodile, who was now hanging upside down. "No," said Trunky, "I will not let you. We've all had quite enough of your clever tricks." Trunky began to swing Crocodile around and around and around, and he swung slowly at first, but then he started swinging faster and faster and faster and faster and faster still. And soon the enormous crocodile was just a blurry circle going around and around and around Trunky's head. Suddenly, Trunky let go of Crocodile's tail, and the crocodile went shooting high into the sky like a big green rocket. He went higher and higher and higher and faster and faster and faster, and he was going so fast and so high that soon the earth was just a tiny little dot miles and miles below. He whizzed on and on. He went into space. He went past the moon. He went past the planets. He went past the stars until, with the most enormous bang, the enormous crocodile crashed head first into the hot sun, and he was sizzled up like a sausage. The end. And that was the enormous crocodile. And that was a little bit longer of a porch time story time, but I hope you enjoyed it. I think that's a pretty good one, and I hope you weren't scared. I'm Lisa Murphy. You can call me Miss Lisa. Today I'm on the porch. I hope the rain wasn't too loud behind us. And this was by Roald Dahl, and it was called The Enormous Crocodile. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.